Alright guys, so today in this video I am showing the entry rules for this trade that I recently shared. We've been trading it live, the last 4 live streams. We took the trade live, 3 wins, 1 break even. Of course there are losses. It just hasn't happened in the last 4 trades that we took live. But in my back testing of this, and again it's fairly new to me too, so that's why I'm testing it live on a side account for everybody to see. And people are basically asking, well, what's the rules of the trade? Because these live streams are very long. They're in there, and I do suggest that if you're going to be looking at this trade yourself and trading it or testing it, that you look at the live streams because it shows me entering, and we get into lots of detail about it, management of the trade and all that. But here's the basic rules summarized in a video. That's not going to be 3 hours long, right? Is that good? Okay. So it's a trade that can be taken at different times of day on different pairs. We're looking at that. But at the moment, the main thing I tested, traded live, what I'm showing here is trading the pound dollar and the pound yen, those two, right? And we're looking at a particular time of day, which is looking to trade in the second hour of the London session. So London opens, you let 1 hour pass by, and what you do is, I'm just using this chart. We're not quite at London open yet, but I'm using this as an example. Of course, it's giving me this tiny candle to work off of, but so what we do is, let's say our current candle on this 1 hour chart, could it be any smaller for this video? Let's say this is London open right there, which is actually in a few hours. So let's say our London open candle is here on the 1 hour chart and it's closing, right? So we mark the low and the high, very simple. On a 1 hour chart, the low to high of that first hour, for me it's 3 a.m. New York time, London open, right? So once that closes, right, you have your levels, the high and low of the first hour range of London. Once that's marked, I go to 5-minute chart, right? Now, on TradingView, it's kind of weird. You'll set something that looks like it's right at a high, and then when you zoom in, it's not quite there. You might want to tighten up the level on the smaller time frame once you see these levels. Well, now we're getting bigger, so let's say we're going off of that. All right, and the candle closes like that, and it's the first hour of London, and you're on to the second hour. You have your levels set. So from there, I'm looking to take a trade that's breaking out to the upside or downside, or trade against that and a fake breakout. That would mean seeing a breakout to the upside that fails and looking to sell, or a real breakout and looking to buy. And doing the same at the bottom, a real breakout, we sell, a fake breakout, we buy. So the details of that is really, sort of how I'm using the volume indicator. And again, it would all be hypothetical right now for me to explain that. The best thing to do, you got to take a little time and watch the live streams of me getting into this trade and talking about stuff on top of, if you want to include just generally looking at my videos and how I use the volume indicator and on the 5-minute for entries. But to simplify it, if we're breaking out to the upside, right, the hour is done, we have our level, and then we get a 5-minute close, candle close to the upside, right? The lower the volume, the better to take the long trade, the breakout trade, and the higher the candle or bar here closes, right? Closing at or near the high rather than getting squashed down by selling. So the best type of candle, let's say ideally, you have a candle that closes like this or very close to the high, right? Type of candle or bar, depending on what you use. And the lower the volume, the better, right? So out of context, you're looking at something like this type of bar. Now we're talking about on a breakout, right? So that would be, once that 5-minute closes, the lower the better on the volume to tell you supply is not coming in. Just think of a sign of weakness, and it's the opposite of that, right? If you know that. Then we're looking for the long trade. If there is weakness, the higher the volume, the better on a fake break pattern. So once we close back into range, we can come out of range and get squashed. We could close up, but the volume's high, right? But once you get back into that range on a 5-minute close, now you're looking to short if there's high volume on that high price rejection, all right? So those are the two options. You're either looking at a fake break or a real break to enter those trades. Most days this does set up. Again, to the downside, right? Just to say it again, if this is your range going in, it's now the first, hour and 1 minute into the session. You can start to look for your entry. And at that point, it could set up immediately. It could set up in 15 minutes, or you could be waiting an hour, right? Whatever. And you're taking time. So it breaks out to the downside. Same thing. Again, if it closes at or near the low of the bar on that breakout, and the volume is on the low side, the lower the better, you take the short trade, right? If the volume is high, along with a rejection of those levels and getting back into the range on a close, looking for the long trade. Now, stops, targets, typically I'm putting it behind the previous 5-minute swing. So what's a 5-minute swing, right? If we're moving up right here, let's say I was buying here. This is the previous 5-minute swing low, right? We have a low, up move, some sort of support, right? And getting it behind that support, not right behind it, but getting some room behind a previous 5-minute swing on entries. Again, watch the live streams. You get 4 examples of this trade taken live and talking about stops and stuff. There's options, and this is just too much to get into, and off the top of my head, I'm not going to remember it all right now. That's why we do it live, right? You can see, we can talk about it, different scenarios and how to deal with them. So that's all in the previous 4 live streams if you really want to get into this trade and the management, and also targets and how I manage it. And one trade, I think we got 100 pips and then some, and being able to ride out those trades at least with some position on as it's moving up and up and up, and getting into the into the 80, 90, 100 pip range. And we were still holding on to some of that position because the chart said it's going to continue up. You're going to have other times where the chart is saying, this trade isn't looking so good. You might get 25 pips and it's going to turn around on you. So management of the trade is very important. We've seen it live. I should continue to do it live. I think it's a good thing. Maybe we do more testing next week. And we'll see, or this week. It's already Monday. And maybe do some more examples live. But those are the rules laid out, right? Very simple. And I never thought I'd be taking a trade like this. When it comes to background and how I normally trade, that's another story. This is sort of a self-contained thing. We've seen it. We've tested it. I'm going to continue to test it. I'm trading some small real money on it. I'm going to be doing it on my main account. But along with my regular trading that I've been doing for a while, I'm doing now including this trade. Just because it appeared to me on a chart and, I wasn't looking for it. And, after talking to people, other people do it too, or variations of it. Some people like to use the Asia range, low to high, and look for that sort of breakout or fake breakout of those levels going into London. Maybe you've heard of that. But like we were talking about, taking this sort of trade where you have a set range based on some time period, right? And that's not normally part of my setups, but I'm definitely including it. I see the effectiveness of it. And having a range set to trade around off a set period of time, Asia Open, first hour of London, you could do first hour of New York session on the euro dollar, right? And saying, okay, if it's breaking or fake breaking. And some people will just take the trade. They'll take a breakout or they'll take the fake breakout. Some people have back tested, so I guess 57% likely that these breakouts are going to be fake breakouts and so on. And you used to get a slight edge, not a great one. But when you include volume in making that decision, all of a sudden, and those of you who know how to read volume, right, all of a sudden, you're going to raise that win. You're going to know if that's a real or fake breakout much more, accurately, right? Again, watch the previous live streams. Put a little time into learning it because they're long videos, but we do it live. We're doing it live. So if you really want to learn it, things about trade management, volume, reading volume on a chart. Okay, so that explains the rules. This had to get out there. It was asked for, and the video has been made. Also, while I'm here, this volume indicator, people always are going to ask, I don't need indicators. All I need is price and volume. Everything else is last on the list as far as making decisions on the trades I'm taking. The trade that I just showed does not include anything but volume and price and a couple of lines I can draw, right? And most of my trades are along those lines where I'm not looking at indicators, the 14 EMA and blah, 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 right? They have their uses. We could trade without them. Now, the volume indicator, people ask which one to use. It doesn't matter. These colors, I could have them, I could not have them. This is the volume indicator you're seeing on my chart. This is what I did to it. Sometimes I play with these numbers and change them, whatever. It's going to tend to show strength and weakness. That's why there's green and red, but we don't need them. I like colors. And these at the bottom are glorified MACD and RSI, right? We looked at it. I forgot even what it was. It's a bait, right? It's to if you see my indicators down here and you go, Pete, what indicators are those? It's an opportunity for me to tell you don't use indicators. Okay. Gotcha. You're trying to trade with indicators. See, it's like a net. I bring you in, I catch you, and then I tell you don't use them. Limited use, last on the list as far as making any decisions, and pretty much not even on the list of factors to consider when you're taking a trade. Okay, that's what I wanted to cover in this video. I'm going to continue to live stream. Maybe we'll continue to take that trade live, what I just showed. Maybe some others, and we'll keep going. All right. Have a good one. Continue to look at it and test if you'd like. If you want to look at the setup and back test it, right? So, but it probably, I guess, at least 75% probability. So, something worth looking at. All right. We got some big pips doing it live. All right, guys. See you soon.